Afternoon, folks. Old Buster coming to you again with another story for this coming Sunday. Name of this story is going to be Boys Will Be Boys. And that's for sure they will. Well, I want to appreciate all the kind words from me being a little under the weather and all them nice folks at Regents Hospital, floor 10. And also, when I was telling you about little old Jameson, that boy's 5-year-old now. I said he could come over here and sit on my leg anytime and we'd read a story. He just wants to be on the YouTube. Well, we got a couple old boys I need to holler at too. Some old country singers down Texas way. Some of them I've known quite a long time. You got old Larry Simpson, that's the one that's got the radio station, KZIS. And you got Sonny Christopher, Ronnie Collins. And of course, again, we're going to thank hired, that's Doug Holmes. There is a Doug Williams, that's a friend of ours too, by the way. Doug Holmes at Doug Holmes Construction. Of course, who knows, old Doug Williams may be out there somewhere. Last time we heard of him, I worked with the boys down in Oklahoma way. Hope he's doing fine. Well, anyway, we're going to get on here. Lulu's going to film this. These are going to be, several of these stories coming up, going to be shorter stories. They, not 4 or 5 pages. Now, after that, they're going to start getting a little bit longer. So, they'll be from somewhere around 20, 30 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes. So, we'll get to those after we get to these little ones here. This is all before the boys go on vacation. And when it starts in the second half of their lives, it'll be in the later on in the years. So, I hope y'all been enjoying them. I hope that you get a chuckle out of them. And some things might mind you when you was a youngin'. But anyway, here we go. Boys will be boys. When Buster and the boys went to church on Sundays, they'd switch off pert near every Sunday to each other's church where their ma went to. Now, Buster was at the First Christian Church, but his grandma and grandpa Gus was Catholic. But there weren't no Catholic church round about them parts, so they went on to the Methodist church where there was a new preacher feller named Smith, and he was a nice feller. Well, Jesse done went to the Presbyterian or Episcopal church, depending on which side the family took him on Sundays. Some of them was Episcopal, and some of them was Presbyterian. Now, Hired was a Southern Baptist, outright true and true, and all the Walters people was Catholic. Now, on this particular Sunday, all the boys met up at the First Christian Church with their maws and other kin. There was some kind of goings on there, and so all the folks all got together for this here special meeting. Now, I have to say that some of the men folk did make an excuse or two not to go to church on Sundays, but this wasn't one of them. Well, right off, the boys done sneaked off to the balcony. You see, the First Christian Church has a balcony for overflow, and they say that 'tweren't nothing but a place for young'uns to get into mischief. But anyhow, they got into mischief all right. Well, Buster gathered up the boys and up they went. They done sneaked off up there from their mamas, you know. First thing was Buster showing all the boys where they kept the communion wine. Now, back then it was real wine. Mogan David for sure. There was crackers too in that closet that they used for the bread. And Walter done had a hankering to taste that wine. Well, I hired up and grabbed the bottle and popped the top. As y'all know, the boys knowed what White Lightning was, and they knowed all about a little whiskey too, namely old McBrayer. So little wines weren't nothing to them. Well, heck, Firebuster's people, they all made wine and home brew. His Uncle George, that's great uncle, you know, and some more of his people. Well, they all figured that nobody would ever miss a little wine, so all of them sit right down there and had a little snort. Well, them crackers looked mighty tasty, so they ate some of them too, as Hired and Buster was a mite peckish, you know. Well, that old Mogan David got to tasting pretty good, and seeing as how there was several cases in that there closet, the boys figured nobody'd be none the wiser if they had a little of it. Well, Jesse got to reading the ditty that come with the wine. It was inside the box. It said, now I'm going to quote this, and this is exactly what was on there. Oh yes, this is the source of the national known and touted yet locally obscure MD 2020, FKA Mad Dog 2020, also known as that, you know, with multiple interesting flavors. Mogan David's concoctions will precipitate a quick onset of general drunkenness, a massive sugar high, possible intermittent memory loss, and decidedly most interesting evening morning. Not to be missed. It's made in Westville, New York. Now, boy, the boys thought that was right funny. A little wine couldn't do no harm, you know. Well, that's what thinking will do for you. All the boys got looped for sure. They was drunker than 10 kinds of Indians and drunker than a skunk too. I mean to tell you. I don't believe they knew which way was up, but they was trying to find out. Well, after they done polished off about 2 bottles apiece and ate pretty near every cracker in that there closet, they decided to go on up into the balcony, because they was on the steps, you know, right there at the closet, as their mamas would be a-quizzing them on the sermon to see if they was a-listening. Well, Hired was tipsy-like and missed a step and slipped backwards most of a flight of stairs till Walter caught him. Well, Jesse was higher than a kite in a Georgia pine and a-grinning like a possum eating green persimmons and a Cheshire cat to boot. Now, Walter and Buster was a little better shape, but Walter done put an extra bottle in his and good Big Smith overhauls. Well, Buster says, "Walter, what you got there?" Well, old Walter pulled that bottle out and took him a big swig and offered it up to Buster. Now, Buster tweren't to be outdone, so he done got him a good big slug or two himself. Well, Buster and Walter polished off that bottle of Mogan David and nothing flat. Then Walter just plumb went to sleep. Passed out colder than a wedge. Well, Jesse was up to a mite of fun, and Hired was along for the ride, but not hitting on all cylinders, you know. You should have seen them boys. Lord have mercy. Running around like a chicken with the head cut off. There was a ledge round the stained glass windows, just wide enough for a feller to get round to clean them on the inside of the sanctuary. For some reason, Jesse done decided to walk around it just a meandering like nothing at all to it. You know, the boy liked to side-fiddle and gum everywhere he went. He just has to get into everything and look at everything, you know. Takes him right smart, too. He don't do it quick. It takes him all day. Well, Buster tried to reach over and pull Jesse back, and like to fell over the railing of the balcony doing it. Well, Hired was right on Jesse's tail, following along like he had good sense. Double trouble. About that time, the preacher looked up and hollered to the boys and said, "Settle down and behave now." Well, that done it. The boys' mamas and their people there all looked up, with Buster hanging over the railing and Jesse sitting on the ledge with his legs hanging over just a-dangling and old Hired a-teetering something awful and about to fall. Just a-swinging from the rafters like a monkey. If you didn't think all hell broke loose that Sunday, y'all is sure enough wrong. Men folk and the boys' mamas come a-flying up them stairs lickety-split. Well, after they got all the boys down from the balcony and out front yard, services kind of went downhill from there, you know. Boy, folks were plumb ditherated, I'm telling you. Everybody was all abuzz about the boys showing out and all. Well, come to find out later, 'tweren't no grape wine but blackberry, and you just couldn't serve no blackberry wine for communion. That there wine had sit a spell and was a mite potent, more than usual. The preacher said he was glad they found out about that wine, but them mamas was fit to be tied. It took to the next day till the boys sobered up, and when they did, a come-to-Jesus meeting was in full force. The boys got out of school that Monday, but chores had to be done even if they was set off center for a spell. The boys' old heads was swole up like a toad frog and mouths dry as cotton. They got drunk all over again each time they got 'em a drink of water, too. Oh, me. 'Tweren't no picture show nor going to town on Saturday for a month for all of 'em, and chores was piled on a mile high. 'Tweren't no board whooping behind the barn, though. Thank goodness for that. Don't know how they got out of them whoopings. Well, each of the boys' paw was pretty rough with a board, switch, or a strap, so they was lucky there, you know. Guess they figured they was old enough, but other forms of punishment was better. Like Walter roping and riding in the rodeo. Ain't none of that for a while. And Buster not driving that old Ford. That was on foot again. And Hired had his motorcycle sold. He got the worst of it. And Jesse had the can for his and Mama and Grandma and her widowed neighbor. and that included corn, and he dearly hated corn. Shucking and cutting that corn off the cob was worse than death for him, because he dearly hated that corn, you know. Well, I hate to say the boys caused the balcony to be closed down, but it was. There weren't no more wine used in communion no more neither. Just plain old grape juice. Them crackers was real flavorful, but they was changed to an awful tasting little square of some kind. All in all, it was just another notch in the gun for the boys moving through time. They have been and always will be the talk of the town and knowed fur and wide. Why, when Buster and his mama went to town a couple of weeks later, and they was walking down the main street by the pool hall, some little boy run up to Buster and says, "I want to be just like you." Well, Buster like to fell out right then and there. He goes back to the boys and told them all they just didn't know the influence they was having on youngins, even their own brothers and sisters. They said they sure enough had to look out for being a bad example, because the good book spoke to that. Well, reckons all's well that ends well, and a lesson learned. But don't think for a minute something ain't a-stirring with them 4 boys. Guess everybody is a-waiting to see what happens next. Well, gotta step and fetch it, as they say. Coffee's a-boiling. Old Buster signing out till you have a good and blessed day.